Welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ, hosted by the fearless Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. This week, we have a very special guest, Ian Trottier. He is the author of High Stakes Treason. He will be on very shortly. The states we're going to talk about this week are Arizona. I know we've been talking about them a lot, but we keep getting updates. Connecticut, as we did last week, we have more stuff that's going on here in Connecticut. New York, Ohio, South Dakota. Then we'll talk about our election trivia, our election terms, national news, vote notes, which is a longer story. You'll be able to read more about it. International news. And then at the end, as always, my final thoughts, which are completely unscripted. All right, let's go right now to our guest, Ian Trottier. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me back on.
I am so glad you came back on. You and I actually got to meet each other in person, about a week and a half ago in Nevada at the Fraud Fighters Summit.
Yeah, that was a great event. It was great to finally meet you as well, and to meet Juan. It was the first time I'd met Juan. First time I'd met Matt Meck, and you introduced me to Matt Meck initially, and that kind of opened the door for the invitation to that event. So I appreciate you initiating that contact, and what a great turnout it was, 750 people. It seems like you could have sold double that, Linda, but the Ahern Hotel was a wonderful venue to receive that event, and it was a great experience.
Well, I believe there was like 2 million people watching live, and they've been rerunning a lot of the different segments of the speakers. Plus, we got to actually see Dark Horse, the premiere of the movie about the Brazilian who was running for president in Brazil and his assassination attempt. I thought that was a phenomenal movie. So if anybody hears about Dark Horse, you have to go see it.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, talk about your book, and you're going to give us an update on other information that you have. So it's all yours.
Yeah, let me first address the voter fraud issue. This isn't addressed in the book. The contents of the book talk about illegal stock ownership and something called the Analysis Corporation from Mr. Brennan and the National Counterterrorism Center, which was his brainchild, which he created to track terror activity globally. What has come to light as of the post-publication that was last July 22nd, so we're coming up on a year now that this book's been out, or ties that John Brennan has to voter fraud, and linking the event, Juan's event of last week, are the South Korean delegate that was there, the former Prime Minister of South Korea, who I was able to get a few moments to spend with him. I mentioned Patrick Byrne's statement that I believe Byrne said on Alex Jones a number of months ago. But he said that John Brennan built a data center in Belgrade, Serbia, with the Chinese company Huawei, rigging the Dominion servers, which flipped the 2020 votes in favor of Joe Biden. I mentioned that information to the South Korean delegate. They did not know that information, but here's the link. Here's the interesting tie-in, is that their complaint is that Huawei, the same company that John Brennan built the data center in Belgrade with, has also rigged and purchased the voting system in South Korea. And as a result of that, they've installed a communist leader in South Korea. So currently, I'm asking the South Korean delegate, that is the former prime minister, to look into the contract negotiations of his people or his former people in South Korea that were working to sell their systems to Huawei, or at least get a makeup of how that was done. Because if they can find a link between the CIA and or John Brennan per negotiations with Huawei, then that could help them, as I can talk about the Brennan connection with the position that I currently come from, exposing the crimes laid out in high stakes treason. So that's a new development that has come my way.
Well, I should say, when people hearing this going, what? This is not a conspiracy theory. These are facts that you have found in the research on what John Brennan has done to our country. And this is just additional information and additional things that are being tied together. And I love the fact that, you are really digging into this and the connection again with the South Korean former prime minister.
Yeah, that's exactly
So
right. And Linda, it doesn't seem to stop there. In just a couple days, I'll be meeting with a IMF. I refer to him as an IMF whistleblower because he's a former employee of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. He is a whistleblower of the systems in Venezuela called Smartmatic, which allegedly put Hugo Chavez into power and kept Maduro in the power. This is the prime reason, in my opinion, that Donald Trump went into Caracas and took Maduro out and put him into a jail in Brooklyn, because his alleged testimonies could support the fraud that we experienced in this country in 2020. But more precisely, again, drawing in this individual, John Brennan. And keep in mind, for your listeners, to remember that this is an avowed communist. John Brennan is an avowed communist, having voted for a communist president, a candidate named Gus Hall back in the 80s. And there's a link between he and Zygmunt Brzezinski, according to Mike Benz and Barack Obama. I can get into that in a moment, but let me address Cartel de los Soles and the meeting that I'll be having shortly, because John Brennan and the CIA evidently were in the very thick of this organization ran by Maduro called Cartel de los Soles, having likely, I'm going to speculate because I haven't had the meeting yet, likely negotiated various sales of this Dominion server, which is basically a platform based off of Smartmatic, which I just described, to install them in U.S. elections. And I think there's something like 73, South Korea being one of them, 73 different countries that Cartel de los Soles has meddled in elections with. So there'll be more information the next time I join your show that I can provide in regards to, again, this individual, John Brennan, the avowed communist that Obama appointed as director of the CIA, being involved in voter fraud. Very serious stuff.
Well, one of the things right now, again, I'm going to show your book. People need to read this book to really understand the basics of what had gone on with John Brennan. And I think the last time when I had you on, I told people don't read it at night because you'll get so pissed off. You won't be able to sleep. I mean, the stuff that was done by John Brennan and all the different ties, I mean, it's not a good thing that he did. And as you're digging deeper, you're getting even more information. So I'm sure there's going to be a sequel to this.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm working on a second edition already. And, because this individual has left a paper trail that the former FBI agent has discovered, and his name is John Donovan, and I think you may have gotten a chance to meet him. He was at the event in Las Vegas. Because of that paper trail and my ability to expose the research that he and I have brought forth, John Brennan likely, and I'll use this again, Linda, likely this book is the tip of the spear in our fight against the deep state and our being the people that make up the constitutional republic. Right now, this is the bomb drop to expose the deep state fraud and manipulation in our country. And John Brennan, as I said, he's the one that's left this paper trail. And I'm urging members of Congress and hopefully Southern Florida attorney Jason Quinones to look into the contents of high stakes treason, and that will open this up immensely.
Wow. I mean, you have done such a fantastic job of pulling the information together. I mean, for your first, well, actually, this is not your first book, right? The High
Yeah, it's
Stakes
technically the
Treason.
second. Yeah.
And what's
This,
your other book?
yeah, the first book that I have contract with, is Trine Day Publishing, a small publishing house in Oregon, Western Oregon, actually. Trine Day has published various authors such as Daniel Estulin, who exposed the Bilderberg meetings, Anthony Sutton, Charlotte Iserbyt, These are great authors, great names. Sutton is a former Stanford Hoover Fellow, and I've had contract with Chris for a number of years. He skipped my book. He skipped Whitney Webb's book on the Epstein files. She's released, I think, a couple of editions on that, but he hasn't printed my book. So it is my second book, but it's the first one published.
Okay. So then by the time we get to that one, you'll already have the follow-up to High Stakes Treason. Do we have any updates on the criminal charges and everything else on Brennan yet? Have there been charges filed? I know that his place was raided was it last summer?
Yeah, there's no updates. The Bolton basically confession or guilty plea should open some of these things up a little bit more. But right now, from my understanding, Linda, is that the subpoenas are stagnant. And that is one of the reasons I'm pushing so hard for the contents of High Stakes Treason to take precedence, because it should set off a congressional investigation immediately. Todd Blanche should be looking into this right now. But it sounds like it's got to start. It's got to start with that South Florida subpoena with Quinones. But this meeting here in the next couple of days might create some other avenues and some other pressure points. So that's kind of what I'm looking at and monitoring, are where to apply that pressure in order to kind of get that crack and expose just a little bit more. So right now, there's no updates that I personally can report, but with that, like I said, that Bolton plea of guilty, that should start to open up some of the malfeasance under the Obama administration, primarily with John Brennan.
That would be fantastic. You got to keep shaking the tree. And again, your book right now is High Stakes Treason. We want everybody to order it. Do you have any other contact information that you want us to let people know about?
Yeah, sure. People can Venmo me directly, email me, iantrottier@gmail. If you want a signed copy, just contact me directly. You can order it on Amazon, but I recommend an autographed copy. And Twitter, real Ian Trottier on Twitter. Sometimes, occasionally now, I'm posting to Instagram, not a whole lot, more active on Twitter. And then the book has its own website, highstakestreason.com. And that's what I kind of keep updated with all pertinent information.
Oh, fantastic. And I wanted to throw out there, if anybody wants to see the Fraud Fighter Summit, you can find that fraudfightersummit.us, I believe, has all the clips of all the speakers as well. So thank you again, Ian. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I'm so glad I got to actually meet you in person.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you in courtrooms and communities nationwide to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country. This is our vote. Let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ from SYNC-O-WICZ, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new series that we have just added called SYNC-O-WICZ Presents Candidate Spotlight. And this is open to any candidate, any party, anywhere in the country that wants to have a 20-minute interview. So you can talk about yourself, your platform, your campaign, and we'll help you get it out there. So give us a call, send us an email, or visit our website. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. Again, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. I want to thank everyone who's watching us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, OBBM Network TV, and all the other platforms. Thank you so much. And again, thank you to Ian Trottier. He is a wealth of information. And again, that event out in Vegas, the Fraud Fighter Summit, had incredible people there. It was fantastic. And just giving a quick little heads up, June 10th, 11th, and 12th is the next one in Vegas. Oh, I said June. Tim had to remind me. It's not June. It is September 10th, 11th, and 12th. You know how often I've been doing that? A lot. He just said a lot. Yep. Okay. Whew. Okay. So now we're going to go on to our first state, and that is Arizona. And this is from KTAR News 92.3 from June 26, 2026. Maricopa County Recorder Justin Heap hopeful that Supreme Court will rule swiftly. As many of you know, our last few programs, we have had Arizona in it because this battle's been going on for a while. And hopefully we will actually see some results. So the Maricopa County Recorder, Justin Heap, is hoping the Arizona Supreme Court issues a swift ruling in his dispute with the Board of Supervisors over the control of elections. Now, Justin Heap has certain things that he's in control over, and then the Board of Elections came in and usurped his powers back a few years ago, and he has been trying to get them back. So he says they gave us basically from the order 3 days to have our briefs in which in court speak are incredibly short amount of time, Heap said. And he said, I think the Supreme Court definitely sees, look, this has got to be resolved here because we're in the middle of an election. He took his case to the Supreme Court after an Arizona Court of Appeals panel blocked a lower court's judge injunction ordering the board to transfer certain election responsibilities and resources to the recorder's office. So it's been going on and on and on. The officials are stamping their feet, going, no, we're in charge. But it's actually Justin Heap who's supposed to be in charge. And the court said it. But then they got another court that came in and said, no, there's not enough time to do it. Even though there is enough time, it's just that the Board of Elections has been dragging their feet. So Heap sued the board in June over election responsibilities, said supervisors continue to run in-person early voting locations that state law places under his office, even after a Superior Court judge ruled in his favor earlier this year. The nice thing about the law is that you follow the law. We don't have to like each other, Heap said. If we just go back to following the law, we can run elections smoothly together. Good luck, Justin. We're rooting for you. We're rooting for you because they got some serious issues in Arizona. Now we're going to go on to Connecticut. This is the state I live in. This is from the New Haven Independent on June 26, 2026. The state to investigate missing Hamden petitions. The State Election Enforcement Commission, the SEEC, voted unanimously on Thursday to investigate a complaint regarding primary petition paperwork that recently went missing from the Hamden Registrar of Voters Office. Surprise, surprise. The SEEC's vote came nearly 2 weeks after Hamden Mayor Adam Sendroff first responded to the missing petition sheets on June 14th. The Hamden Police Department opened an investigation into the incident on the same day. So Sendroff filed an official SEEC complaint, file 2026-069, on June 16th. The Independent obtained a copy of the complaint on Friday via a Freedom of Information request. Sendroff wrote in the complaint that on Sunday, June 14th, Deputy Democrat Registrar of Voters Bernadette Strode reported that primary petition sheets that were locked in a locker were discovered missing on Saturday, June 13th. Quote, Ms. Strode was in the office on Saturday with Barbara Bolden, the ROV administrative assistant, that's the Registrar of Voters, administrative assistant, to validate signatures when the discovery was made. Sendroff wrote in his complaint, which was handwritten and less than 1 page. Did we really need to know that? I mean, when they're writing the story, did they not have enough to fill the story? Oh my goodness. So it says the complaints, the petitions in question were for incumbent Democrat Registrar of Voters, Lushonda Howard, who sought to petition her way onto the August 11th primary ballot to challenge party-endorsed Jackie James Boyd. Howard did not immediately respond to requests for comments for this story. So we'll see what happens with that one. Gee, things go missing.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, now we're going on to New York. This is from the New York Post on June 25th, 2026. Long Island school clerk caught tearing up ballots, trashing votes to help her candidate win. I mean, oh, but this stuff doesn't happen.
No,
Never,
no.
never. A Long Island school clerk overseeing Board of Education elections tore up ballots and threw them in a dumpster to rig the election for a local DJ, a newly revealed internal probe found. Hempstead Union Free School District Clerk April Keyes allegedly rigged the May 12th trustee election by smuggling official ballots out of her office and handing absentee ballots to incumbent candidate Victor Pratt so he could trash them, according to a 51-page petition filed by the district with the State of Education Department. Keyes could now face criminal charges as the district is looking to overturn Pratt's razor-thin win. Pratt is a third-term trustee and former school board president who moonlights as a local DJ under the stage name DJ Vic Lover, according to his social media. Look at that. Someone else destroying ballots. Oh, but it never happens. It's a conspiracy theory. It never happens. Yeah, right. Okay. Ohio. This is from the Courier from June 26, 2026. DeWine vetoes bill requiring photo ID for mailing voting. Governor Mike DeWine has vetoed a new Republican-passed bill that would have required Ohioans to show a photo ID to vote by mail. DeWine announced late Wednesday that he had vetoed House Bill 472, which expanded the strict photo ID requirements Ohio has had for voting since 2023. The Republican governor issued an unusually lengthy statement explaining his decision. How do you explain stupidity? I guess it would have to be a very long statement to try to show that you're not being an idiot, which he is. Those are my own personal comments. That's not actually in the story. Got to wait till the end for the final thoughts. He said the requirement would pose an unwielding challenge for voters without providing any real benefit. Tim, I mean, Tim is my producer here. He gets to listen to me all the time. So he said, quote, "This bill is not needed because Ohio does an excellent job running elections."
Oh, come on.
There's a lot more to the story, but yeah, that is such a joke. Vivek Ramaswamy, he is running for the Republican office of governor. Let's hope he wins the primary and he gets this guy out. Honestly, I mean, what a numbskull. So anyway, we got to add this part on. During debate, Democrats called the bill rushed. They also renewed their previous criticism of voter ID requirements, calling them an impediment to voting, especially for senior citizens and people who change addresses more frequently, like students. Lower income people, they said mail-in voting is secure and doesn't require security measures. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And then, my favorite people have a comment on this. You know who I'm talking about. The Ohio League of Women Voters. Their executive director, Jen Miller, praised the governor's decision. Of course she did. Because every single thing the League of Women Voters does is not for women. It's against women because, again, they think we are totally stupid and incompetent. So anytime they say, yay, this is a good thing. No, it's not. No. Well, anyway, so that's what's going on in Ohio. Get that governor out. I know he's a Republican, but get him out. Going on to South Dakota. I like saying this, South Dakota. All right, this is from the Heartland Signal. This is from June 26, 2026. South Dakota State Senator Tom Prisky faces up to 4 years in prison for election fraud charges. Now, I got to tell you, it's going to surprise you because of the way I do my program. But we all think, oh, there's another Democrat. This is a Republican we're talking about. South Dakota State Senator Tom Prisky faces up to 4 years in prison and the loss of his legislative seat if convicted of election fraud. The Republican lawmaker is accused of forging multiple signatures on party nomination forms. South Dakota State Senator Tom Prisky, he is from Del Rapids, turned himself into the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department. I know, I heard Tim giggle on that one. Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department on Tuesday after being charged with 2 election-related forgery charges, which could lead to multiple years in prison. The 44-year-old Republican was charged with 2 counts of offering a false or forged instrument for filing, which is a Class 6 felony. His initial hearing is set for July 7th. Prisky's lawyer, Ryan Kolbeck, told South Dakota Searchlight that the lawmaker is cooperating with the investigation, but, quote, has no further comment at this time. If convicted, he faces up to 4 years in prison. Okay, he's accused of forging signatures on nomination forms to put precinct committee candidates on the ballot. And Republican precinct committee persons hold a variety of duties, including voting at county party meetings and voting for the GOP's nominees in statewide elections. So in March, I had to continue reading. You know why? Because I get to say Minnehaha County Auditor's Office discovered these forms all had the same handwriting. After reaching out to the candidates, the office found that most of them did not even know about the form. The office also cross-referenced the suspected fraudulent signatures with the candidates' real signatures, and 15 of them did not match. Obviously, he's a novice at this because at least we know the Democrats, when they're doing it, they use different people to do different signatures. Why would you use your own signature if you're going to do fraudulent things? Come on. Get with the program if you're going to be a felon, and you wonder why you got caught. I mean, I'm glad that he did. But we'll keep you up to speed on what's going on with that. And he has actually been a state senator in South Dakota since 2017. So he's been in office for a while. Wow. Okay, but hey, please note, we did report a Republican. 99% of the time it's the Democrats. All right, we're going to go on to our election trivia. This is from Generation Nation from June 30th. Party platform. It's a statement of the principles or beliefs of a political group. Now we're going to go on to our election trivia question of the week. This is from Wood County, Texas voter registration website from June 30th, 2026. Who was the first president born in a hospital? We're going to go to a quick break and we'll be right back.
We need your help to ensure one vote for one legal voter. Join Fight Voter Fraud. Request training, get the potential double-registered, double voter data for your town, and donate to support the fight. Visit fightvoterfraud.org because election integrity starts with you.
Hi, I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. We are launching Operation Verify Voters 2026, and we want to get everyone involved in every single state because you can make a difference. We will be able to train you. It doesn't take that long for the training. It's very, very simple because you know the people on your street, in your neighborhood who have moved or died. We want to make sure that the voter rolls are clean. We're going to show you how to do it. Go to our website, fightvoterfraud.org, or scan the QR code and we'll show you how. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to SYNC-O-WICZ. I'm Linda SYNC-O-WICZ, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. When we left you last, we had our election trivia question. Who was the first president born in a hospital? To all of you who said Jimmy Carter, you are correct. That's the answer. So now we're going to go on to national news. Our national news this week is from the Nebraska Examiner from June 26, 2026. Nebraska Supreme Court rules voter data case is moot because feds already have records. A federal judge this week blocked the Trump administration from creating a national database with the information provided by states. The Nebraska Supreme Court ruled Friday that a lawsuit that had sought to stop the state from handing over potentially sensitive voter data to the U.S. Department of Justice is moot and dismissed the appeal. The court in its ruling wrote, quote, because Nebraska's voter registration list has already been released to the DOJ. This matter is moot, and we decline to apply the public interest exception to the mootness doctrine. As such, the appeal and cross appeal are dismissed. So they push it forward, but it's already been done. Oh, wait a minute. Tell the Department of Justice, oh, pull back the stuff we gave you. We changed our mind. You can't have it. Unbelievable. There's more to this story than that. You guys can read the rest of it, but that was the gist of the story. So now we're going to go on to vote notes. This is from KCRA 3, June 27, 2026. From barriers to breakthroughs, how voting rights have evolved over America's 250-year history. Now, voting rights have expanded and contracted throughout American history. And as the nation approaches its 250th anniversary, the story is still being written. I should forewarn you, there's a little bit of wah-wahs in this story. Thank you, Tim. We are going to need this. But I just thought it was important that you be able to read that there's a lot of different things that have gone on. They didn't cover as much as I expected when I first pulled this story to report on, but there's enough to give you a bit of an education. So when America was established, more people could vote here than anywhere else in the world, but it was still a fraction of the population of the United States, explained Lisa Kathleen Grady, a curator at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. Everything after that becomes a quest by people who didn't have the vote to get the vote and to retain the vote. Well, that makes sense. Voting rights were initially reserved for certain property owners, a concept that was based on Great Britain's hierarchy system, according to Grady. This idea that only wealthy property owners would vote lasted for a very short amount of time. This country had fought a war to throw off hierarchy, Grady said. A patchwork of state voting laws emerged in the decades that followed, and those protesting for expanded ballot access adopted some interesting tactics to get their messages across. So the story goes on, and it does give you a lot of different information on what's going on. So I'm going to encourage all of you, don't forget to bring your little digi box on a few comments that are made. Well, it always ends up being the Brennan Center for Justice. That's another, ooh, get your radar up that someone is going to be whining and complaining, because they always do. So you can go and just click on the link for the vote notes, and you can read the full story on this. And there's a lot of other links that you can get while you're reading them as well. That's what our vote notes is always about. So now we're going to go on to international news, and I chose Sweden. So we have Sweden. This was from the Council on Foreign Relations, and it does go back to December 9th of 2025. Basically, it was called 10 of the elections to look at for 2026. So Sweden's general election is on September 13th, and Sweden's general election will provide an indicator of the strength of the populist politics in Europe and the impact of foreign influence campaigns. The country's been governed since 2022 by a center-right government led by Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson and composed of the moderate Sweden Democrats, Christian Democrat, and Liberal parties. The government is confronting a surge in gang violence, as well as debates over immigration and citizenship rules. The latter has been a political flashpoint for a decade and helped bring Christensen's government to power. Energy policy also divides Swedes. The right champions nuclear expansion and the faster permitting to stabilize prices, while the left argues for renewables and targeted green industry investment. Oh yeah, make sure you put up a whole bunch of those windmills that kill birds. They don't work. Well, anyway, I gotta wait to the end for my final thoughts. So Christensen recently unveiled a controversial 80 billion SEK 2026 budget that called for broad tax cuts as well as an increased defense spending. The opposition criticized the plan for failing to fix structural weaknesses in housing construction, workforce integration, and energy capacity. One issue that will not be up for debate is Sweden's membership in NATO. Polls show that 7 in 10 Swedes have a positive view of the alliance. Remember, this was before the Iranian stuff went on. Okay. Magdalena Andersson's Social Democrats currently top all parties in the polls, but the other center-left parties that might join in a coalition government are polling poorly. Meanwhile, Sweden faces heightened cyber and foreign influence activity coming from, big surprise, Russia. Last month, Sweden's civil defense minister warned that the country faces a, quote, serious security situation heading into the general election. So that's what's going on with Sweden. Now we've come to my producer's favorite part, my final thoughts. My final thoughts, as always, are unscripted. Now, as most of you will see, when you see our program, the 4th of July is this week, our 250th anniversary of our nation. I, just so you know, am proud to be an American. I'm proud of the United States. I'm proud of my president. Unlike 47% of you who have now decided that you're not proud of the United States. I believe those are the ones that are out there wanting, I don't know, all the leftist things that are going on. You want all the murderers and you want all the rapists and you want all the drug dealers and everybody else to be here in the United States. And you illegally, of course, but you think that's fine. And you think that everybody should vote. Why don't you actually petition to have everyone in the world vote in the United States elections? Really? I mean, that's what the left wants right now. That's what the Democrats want right now. That's not what our country is about. Why our country was founded. Do you realize our founding fathers risked their lives, their fortunes, everything when they signed the Declaration of Independence and they went against Britain? I think one of the neat things is that the Brits never really caught on that you don't march in a line all together and shoot. I love the fact that we actually adapted to, hey, why don't we stand behind trees because then we won't get hit. But that's the way the battles were fought in Europe. They'd be in this big area and everybody'd march together and you'd stand up and then the other ones would go down and then you'd shoot and then it was crazy. I'm glad that we were pretty scrappy. I guess Tim would be the word. We were pretty scrappy. And everyone that fought for our country. And now 250 years later, we have a bunch of morons, a bunch of idiots, low IQ people who do not understand the history of our country. And I guess I actually have to throw in Governor Ned Lamont here in the state of Connecticut. You got to be a low IQ person to say, I'm not going to participate in the 250th anniversary with all the other states down in Washington, D.C. You want to know what he did with the money that should have been used to have Connecticut represented? And any of you listening, we were one of the original 13 colonies. We have so many people in history that have contributed stuff. Sikorsky aircraft. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. We had Colt manufacturing, with the first guns and revolvers that were being made. We go back to Nathan Hale, who came from Coventry, Connecticut. And we can go on and on and on with all the people. Yet, the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, decided to give $80,000 to a parade for LGBTQXYZ in West Hartford, Connecticut. And when a businessman stepped forward with $100,000 that they were told that it would cost to actually man the booth and have all the stuff we need, our governor said, nah, it's too late. Ned, you gotta step down. You're an idiot. And I'm putting my name behind it. You're an absolute idiot. You do not care about Connecticut. You do not care about our country. You do not care about the people that have lost their lives in order for us to be able to protest. All of you numbnuts out there that are protesting and wanting men in women's sports, well, I gotta tell you, a few minutes ago, the Supreme Court said, no, that's not happening. But you would not be able to do that. And do you realize we are one of the few countries in the world that if you're a homosexual, we don't put you to death? I mean, think about it. What is going on with you people? We at least have some patriotic citizens here in Connecticut. Reese Hopkins from Reese on the Radio on WTIC. It's a 50,000 watt station here in Connecticut, based in Farmington, Connecticut. He is heading down there and he will be broadcasting from the Connecticut booth, along with a number of other true Connecticut patriots. This is a once in a lifetime thing. Is your TDS that bad, Lamont, that you can't even send representatives from the state of Connecticut, that you cannot even be proud of the state of Connecticut? Well, then again, actually, you really shouldn't be. You've driven us into the ground. You have taxed us to death. Our energy costs are through the roof. We are a sanctuary state because that's what you wanted. We have so many illegals that are taking money and food out of the mouths of the people and citizens of Connecticut that work hard. This is what we're up against. We have the Communist Party headquarters in New Haven, Connecticut. And here's something else that we have blessed our country with. We have Rosa DeLauro, the purple-haired lady in Congress. The finger, remember the finger? That's all she does, is yell and scream, and she's out of her mind. Yes, she's one of ours, homegrown. And then we also have our two senators, two of the wackiest lunatics in the Senate. Honestly, I even said this on Reese's radio show the other day. There should be a cognitive test in order to be in House or Senate for the United States before you're elected. So when you're running, after you're elected, and then maybe every 6 months. What do you think, Tim?
That's probably a good idea.
Cognitive test, And then we have our other senator, the one who lied about his military service. I mean, really? Really? This is what we are contributing from the state of Connecticut. But I got to tell you, I think that's going to be it. That's going to be it for the lunatics going to DC, our Congress people, because this time with the March 31st executive order that has the voter rolls coming directly from the Department of Justice that have been cleaned of the illegals, of the dead people, of the people who have moved, of the people who have double voted and have gone through a whole bunch of other databases to remove the ghost voters. Here in the state of Connecticut, we actually have an opportunity to take our state back and to become a participant in our country with pride in our country. So I'm really looking forward to this November because Connecticut is not communist blue. It is right now because of all the people who are in office and all the corrupt voter rolls, which again is why Connecticut is one of the 24 states. It's going against the federal government saying, no, we don't want to use your voter rolls. We want to use ours. I have to do that all the time because that's our Attorney General tongue. Oh my God. Yes, he's the foot stamper, by the way. So as you can see, I have no personal thoughts. But I just wanted people to know the 4th of July, our 250th anniversary. You should be proud of our country and what we've accomplished. For those who have the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, please get some help. Please. Well, thank you again for watching our program, and I will see you next week.